morning and happy Monday morning to everybody. I hope everybody's having a fabulous weekend. All right, you guys, I got to be honest, there's hardly any royal family in this one. This is mostly Harry and Meghan. So if you're looking for the royal family, you'll have to, come in on another day. But this is going to be an interesting video. You're not going to want to miss it. So let's dive in, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off with Hunky Johnny. Apparently, he caught the attention of people everywhere. Now, you guys know I found Johnny first. I remarked on him first. Yes, I know he's married, but you can peruse the menu while eating at home. It's not that big of a deal. But yes, this is one good-looking man. Now, from what I understand, he only gets to hold this job for 3 years, and then he has to hand it off. And we will miss him when he goes, but lucky wife is waiting for him. Way to go, Johnny. Moving on, we have Eugenie and Jack Brooksbank. Now, we know that Jack has a drink business that was called Jack Brooksbank Limited. In honor of his children, he has now renamed it to AEB Consultants, which is supposed to be August and Ernest, the children. So August, Ernest, Brookbank's consultant. I think that's very sweet. Moving on. Next up, William and Catherine were they were spotted at a football game for Prince George. This is what I love. Look at her. No makeup, messy hair bun. They're just out at the football game. Somebody just happens to see them, takes a picture. Catherine is still smiling. Love it. Love it. Moving on. Next up, Harry and Meghan. Except for the Invictus Games, we hadn't seen them together in a long time. And I think WME realized that this is creating an issue, and so they want them together more, which is why I think Meghan showed up for the Invictus Games, to be honest. But it's pretty obvious that Meghan still feels that he's some sort of an idiot who can't do anything right. We're going to cover that in just a minute. And we also know that they're having issues not only with the Archewell or with the archetypes, but with Archewell. And, it's not going well, people. It's just not going well. Next up, this person on Twitter put this up, and I think it was perfect because this copy that you're looking at this magazine was in 2012 when he was 28 years old. 28 people. So I agree with this Twitter user. He was entitled, privileged, irresponsible, immature, ill-educated, arrogant, narcissistic, selfish, drugged up, etc., etc. And we ignored the fact that he was actually a man, not a lad, and he should have been building his future. And the media and the public gave him a huge pass. We did. All right, I had to touch on this really quick. Harry and Meghan apparently decided while they were on vacation over Christmas one year, they saw the Queen's speech and they saw this photo and decided, we're done. What they didn't consider the fact was that everybody in this photo was in the direct line of succession, and this was basically to show that the future of the monarchy was assured. And of course, Harry was very paranoid, probably due to his drug use, and the two of them suspected that the entire institution was conspiring against them. So here's what I think happened. I think Meghan thought that she was going to be able to get in there and somehow, elevate Harry so he would be above William, and somehow Harry could be next in line to the throne. I swear, this is what I think happened. And I think when it became obvious that that was not going to happen, she was like, okay, I'm done here. Because we know Meghan's not going to play second fiddle to anybody. And I agree with Meghan's mole. They're still whining about being included in a photo that he had no business being in. Okay? Now, the Royal Rogue has this IG thing. And I love the fact that he took this photo, which obviously they had not left yet. And Meghan had written this book. But I love the way he did this with the photos. Well done. Well played. Love it. All right, moving on. All right, next up, I just had to put this up. If Tyler Perry is such a good friend of Meghan's and wants to help her out, then how come his new movie is coming out and he's casted all these people in it, but not Meghan Markle? All right, next up, this article touched on it. Harry can't ignore Prince William's reputation in the United States. Well, Prince William flew in, dazzled everybody, got tons of press. And I think this is when Harry is sitting here at Invictus, after Meghan showed up, of course, realizing what he gave up. he can't ignore that William is listed as the most popular person in the United States, even though Harry lives there. Surely Harry must be realizing at this point, that he's in deep doo-doo. All right, next up, before we get into what I consider to be the big story for today, this story came out and I just was like, go King Charles. So what happened was when Harry landed in the UK, apparently he did ask to stay on royal property, knowing that the entire family was at Balmoral. Therefore, he wouldn't have to worry about running into all of them. So what happened? Well, King Charles basically said, all the staff is with us at Balmoral. None of the houses are ready. So you're more than welcome to come and stay with us at Balmoral with family time, where we're having family time. To which, of course, Harry said, no, thank you. And he stayed wherever he stayed. Here's what's so funny, as people pointed out. Balmoral is 500 miles away from London. So by Charles putting out the invitation, he looks magnanimous, he looks generous, he looks like he's offering an olive branch, and Harry's the one who's not accepting it. So well played. Charles is playing the long game. Harry was offered. Harry said no. That falls back on Harry, not on the king. Well played. All right, moving on. All right, here we go. Most of you may not know this, but Kevin Costner and Ellen DeGeneres are both represented by WME. So, of course, they arranged for Harry and Meghan to show up at Kevin Costner's thing that he does, for first responders. So here's what happened. Let's cover this. So they announce Harry and Meghan in. They walk in. Just watch. This is so cringe. It's like they don't know where they're going. They don't know what they're doing. Meghan's put on the dark makeup on her face again. They walk over. It's like Harry doesn't know where to go. Meghan picks up an award, and then she stands there holding this award, and Harry's just sort of walking around, looking around, and then finally Meghan gets him to walk over. She puts her hand on him. Okay, let's look at that again in slow motion now, just certain parts. So they walk out, see the guy behind them with the camera? Makes you wonder why they're taping, who's taping what. Maybe it's Netflix again. But Meghan claps herself out. As you can see, she's clapping for herself. She walks up. She tries to take the microphone from this woman. The woman's like, you're not supposed to have it. So Meghan puts her hand on her shoulder and directs her like she knows where the woman's supposed to be and where she's supposed to be going. Cringe. Okay, then they walk across to the other side. Meghan picks up an award and Harry just stands there. Now, at some point, he realizes he needs to move, and Meghan, of course, directs him again where he's supposed to go, puts her hand on him like, stay here. This is where you're supposed to be. Move over. Yep. Now, here is the crowd from when they were called out into, and you see people are like, it's the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Ooh, clap, applause. Some people pull out their phones. They take some pictures. This is what's going on when they're announced out into the people. But without going through the whole thing again, here's what you actually see. Okay, you guys? They just announced Harry and Meghan out onto the stage. People are looking around like, what? The blonde lady on the right is making a face like, can you believe it? And only 2 people are clapping. Everybody else is just like, Only 2 people clapping. All right, so they make it onto the stage. They finally stand where they're supposed to stand, or I should say Harry was directed to stand where he was supposed to stand. Meghan picks up an award. She stands there holding it. The award apparently is for Kevin Costner. So she stands there holding the award, and then she turns around and hands the award to Harry, who is supposed to be the one, I guess, to hand it to Kevin Costner. But she can't even just let him do that. Unbelievable. Instead, she reaches over and pushes Harry towards Kevin Costner to hand him the award. My jaw was hanging open when this happened. So here it is in video. So again, she picks up the award, she hands it to Harry, she pushes Harry over to the other side of the stage because of course he can't do that by himself. And then he backs up back to the other side of Meghan. Here it is, a little closer and a little slower. Look at her directing him. How sad. So I was looking, and that's when I realized, or I found out, that Kevin Costner is represented by WME, just like Ellen DeGeneres is. And I'm not 100%, but I think Oprah might be as well. So this is a setup by WME. Now, Costner has this thing every year, and I think it's fabulous, but they got in because of WME. Now, one more thing that was caught on camera, Meghan's mask slipped. Look at her face there. She's smiling as Harry goes over to give the award. She is smiling and staring dead on at Kevin Costner, who, by the way, isn't looking at her or giving her the time of day. So Kevin Costner takes the mic. Harry backs up. It's the weirdest thing. He backs up. Now watch Meghan's face. She's smiling at Kevin. She's smiling, and Kevin's not paying her a lick of attention. There goes the smile. There goes her mask. Yep. Now, even this article is reporting that Harry and Meghan did a quote-unquote mini royal style walkabout to greet the other attendees, okay? And they said that after their on-stage moment, they went to a VIP area where they, believe it or not, took a selfie with Katy Perry's mom and dad. Now, they're also talking about the fact that Harry was dancing, Meghan was talking to other people, they walked around meeting distinguished guests, they posed for photos, but they also pointed out that Meghan was smiling for the cameras while Harry was caught staring off into the distance multiple times. Maybe that's because he's not as happy as WME is trying to make him out to be. I mean, can't anybody else see how freaking miserable this man is? The Invictus Games didn't go over well. His brother and his father just had massively successful tours. I mean, yeah, they're sliding down the pole big time. I think if I were Kevin Costner, I would have said no to this, especially with what's going on in his personal life. Anyway, this outfit she was wearing, it was warm as hell there. People are in t-shirts and she's dressed up like an Eskimo. I mean, but this is absolutely a setup. I agree with this Twitter user. They let Meghan grab an award, give it to Harry to present to Kevin Costner, who's the host. And when you look at who was there, who's caught in these pictures, do you see? It's Ellen, Portia, Oprah. It's the same. Those were, I think, Kevin Costner, I think those were the only A-listers there. Nobody really wants to be associated with them anymore. Now, before anybody questions me about the taping, notice that every time you see the camera, it's trained on Harry and Meghan. So I firmly believe, one, again, this is a WME setup, and number two, they're taping for some sort of other Netflix show. It's really laughable at this point. All right, next up, we've already heard Meghan's going to write a memoir, but the problem is, I mean, it's like she and Harry never learned from their mistakes. If she writes another book where she slams the royal family like Harry did, it's just going to tarnish their image even more. People are so sick of their victim mentality. It's like it gets to the point where it's stupid, but people are saying she's going to have to write stuff, though, that people are going to want to buy and the publisher's going to want to sell. But if she writes another hit piece, her image will be even further tarnished. All right, we kind of covered this, but some more information came out, so we're going to take another look at this article. Now, they're saying that, we know the Archetypes podcast was axed in June of this year, and it was not being renewed, and we know that Harry and Meghan put out a statement that it was a mutual decision, and of course we found out later on that it was not. They were dropped. They wanted Harry. They ended up with Meghan. The two of them were called grifters by Spotify executive Bill Simmons, which is the word for, swindler, in case you didn't know that. They had lodged applications with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office to try to, patent Archwell, but that belonged to somebody else already. And they tried to do it for 17 months. their application was rejected because there was already an existing trademark of the same name. So they started the whole application process in March of 2022. Then they reapplied for an extra 3 months, which takes them up to September, because I think they thought that other streaming platforms were going to come up and make them offers, and it didn't happen. So finally, they've given it up, and they've withdrawn the application because the podcast is dead. Now remember, the podcast, besides investigating, dissecting, and subverting labels that hold women back, and most of the stuff she talked about was like 30 years ago, was supposed to elevate voices that aren't usually heard. The problem was everybody, just about 90% of the people she brought on were multimillionaires whose voices were louder than hers. And we know that all she did was use the podcast to whine about herself. She took over every conversation. It was a snooze fest, and that's why it got canceled. Now, Archetypes was put up for a Gracie Award in 2023. The Gracies are not something that you usually hear about. It's only been going since the 70s, whatever. But she was not the only winner. There was Christina Applegate and a whole bunch of stars, including Faith Hill, Amanda Seyfried, that sort of thing. Well, Megan didn't go, saying she had a previous commitment, but notice you never heard anything else about it. She just didn't want to go for 2 reasons. Number 1, she wasn't going to be the center of attention. And number 2, this was right after their failed New York car chase, which now everybody knows didn't take place. So I want to end this video with some information that came to light on Twitter. This Twitter user put this up. It was so obvious once you looked at it. So let's look at it. First of all, we know that Prince Harry started dating Meghan Markle in October of 2016. So as you see, in 2016 and 2017, she got Princess Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, Duchess Meghan Markle, and even in 2014, she did. Okay, so then the engagement was announced. And 4 days after the wedding, she bought up all of if you see the American election years, Meghan Markle, like if you're going to run for president or you're going to run for an office, 4 days after the wedding. Then you look further down and you can see when they did Sussex Royal, and then when Archie was born, and then they did Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor, Prince Archie, Duke Archie, Prince Archie Harrison. They went ahead and grabbed all the domain names. They did the same thing when the daughter was born. They grabbed all the domain names. And as you can see, they were going to name her Diana Mary, but as soon as Queen Elizabeth put Lilibet, the note on Prince Philip's coffin, all of a sudden it was Lilibet Diana, Lilibet Windsor, Princess Lilibet, and they grabbed all the domain names for Lilibet, okay? So people are like, wait a minute, they did Sussex. How did they know that that was going to be what they got? Well, apparently it was speculated for years that the Queen was going to give Cambridge and Sussex, and then William and Catherine got married and got the Cambridge, so that pretty much left Sussex. So that's how they knew before they received the titles. That's how they knew what domain name, to grab. There you go. All right, next up, I have a channel I want you guys to look at. It's called All Kinds of Wrong. Now, yes, they do the royal family, but they also do other channels. But she's new. She's only been going for about 2 months. She's already got over 200 videos. So you guys stop on by, take a look, and if you like it, go ahead and subscribe. All right, you guys, you know what to do. And if you've donated to my coffee fund or through the thanks button, thank you so much.